Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes Reacts. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Easy Office Bloke Daz.
Easy Office. Fair enough. And collectively we are the three budget office blokes. We've got a couple of other YouTube channels, social media merch, all that good stuff. Patreon page, go to Patreon. That's a good one. Click the link below, it'll take you where you need to go. Right, how budget airlines work. I can tell you as a 6'2" person exactly how they work. Where there should be two seats, they put 3 seats, and then you've got to sit there like that. And then the person puts the chair back into your nose. And you just have to sit there and take it.
You have to pay for everything extra.
I've only ever flown Ryanair once, and that was enough.
Never again.
No, someone else booked it as well.
I flew Jet2, I think it was. Have they gone now?
No, Jet2 are alright.
Well, Jet2, I'm sure it was Jet2, 5-hour delay on the flight, and you're supposed to be able to claim back some money.
Yeah.
And I went to one of these no-win, no-fee companies, went on for 2 years, and they came back and went, nah. They said no.
Really?
It's not worth pursuing the claim for the 100 quid you're going to get for it. Is what it is, isn't it?
Wow.
So I go in Cornwall, I could have walked there in that time.
I was going to say, I could have told you a bit earlier.
Right, how budget airlines work, let's do it.
2 weeks ago, I posted a video on why flying is so expensive, and people seem to like it. However, they wanted to know, how are budget airlines so cheap? Well, it's another complex answer, but an interesting one. For the purposes of simplicity, and to keep our European friends from feeling left out, we'll focus on the European model of budget airlines. While there are low-cost carriers in North America, South Africa, India, Asia, and plenty of other places, budget airlines were really first successful in Europe, and that's where they're still most prominent today. The magnitude to which airlines like Ryanair and EasyJet reduce the cost in Europe is also much more significant. Budget airlines in the US might be 10 or 20% less expensive than their traditional competitors, while in Europe, a fare on a budget airline might only cost half or a third of what you would pay on a normal airline. You can regularly find 2 to 3 hour flights on budget airlines for less than 10 euros. So how do they work? Well, unsurprisingly, budget airlines essentially take every expensive part of the flight and make them less expensive. The most essential thing an airline needs is airplanes, and it is possible to spend less on those. In the months and years following 9/11, the growth of air travel stalled, and most airlines were simply fighting to survive. Meanwhile, Ryanair was thriving and placed a massive order of 151 737s from Boeing at unbelievably low prices. A circumstance like that luckily isn't frequent, but budget airlines can place large orders at any time, which gives them a bulk discount. It might seem weird that a budget airline would buy brand new airplanes, but the newest planes are the most efficient, which saves fuel. The fuel efficiency of new aircraft offsets the higher purchase price.
I already don't like this because I'm thinking about people with the cheapest planes that are old to save some money.
Yeah, you can imagine the state of some of the planes around the world, can't you?
Some are like 40 years old, some of the 747s, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, 747s are done now, aren't they?
Are they?
They're retired, aren't they? Now,
I've not flown for a while.
So are they out of service completely now?
I don't think so. I think there's still some around.
Oh, is it?
But I know a lot of the fleets that we're used to seeing is they're retired.
Retired.
Right.
So EasyJet, JetBlue, Ryanair, and Spirit Airlines all have younger fleets than any major airline. Budget airlines will also typically have only one type of plane. Ryanair only operates 737s, and EasyJet only operates the A320 family. Having only one type of aircraft means that pilots, flight attendants, mechanics, and ground staff only need to be trained on one type of aircraft, which saves an enormous amount of time and money. Within the planes, budget airlines will often avoid luxuries to keep costs down.
I always think when I see like a Ryanair flight like that, I know you're all herded in. If you transported fucking cattle like that,
We're not allowed,
you're
are
not
you?
allowed.
You wouldn't be able to know, would you?
Yeah, it's
No.
shite.
I think chickens to be, I was going to say free range, but that's not true. There's one of them, I think non-caged, they've got to have a metre squared per chicken.
Yeah, that's right.
And do you think you've probably not got a metre squared?
That's my worst
You
nightmare.
really get crammed in, don't you? And especially in this day and age now with COVID and everything, it's just not ideal, is it?
That's my worst nightmare.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I've almost had fights over people putting their chair back, which they've got every right to do. But when it's in your face like that, because they've
On a
given you no
1 hour
room-
flight.
Yeah.
It's been longer. It's been like 4-hour
Yeah,
flights.
no, people do it on a 1 hour flight. I'm like, there's no need for it.
Yeah. I actually held a guy's chair
Yeah.
at the back, and he kept trying
Did
to
you?
put it back, and he was having a go at me, and I was like, you can fuck off because it's in my face when you put it back.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Sit there like that for the whole flight?
When you recline it, just pull it.
Terrible, isn't it?
Just I stroked his face, and that was that.
Start sneezing and coughing.
Give him a kiss.
Put your bare foot in between.
Ryanair seats, for example, don't recline because that increases the initial purchase price for seats and also requires more maintenance. The seat design also saves time for flight attendants since there are no seat back pockets to clean between flights. Flight attendants on budget airlines are often in the beginning of their careers and receive little training. Of course, they'll get the required safety training, but only minimal hospitality training. They'll also often serve multiple roles. While on the ground, some of the flight attendants might go to the gate and check tickets, while others clean the airplane. Through this, the airline eliminates 3 or 4 positions that they would regularly pay for. On board, flight attendants are of course responsible for food and drinks, which are almost never free. Onboard service can be an excellent way for airlines to make money. Many budget airlines also do duty-free sales, and Ryanair even sells lottery tickets. Let's talk airports.
Just before he gets into airports, I saw a picture of a £6.50 bacon sandwich on a budget airline the other day that someone posted, and it was a bread roll like that, no butter on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it looked like one piece of bacon that had been cut in half, and there was a bit at one end and a bit at the other.
Just eat before you get on the plane.
It was absolutely horrific to
Sounds
look
like
at.
it.
It really was.
Unless you're flying business class or first class, fucking eat before you get on the plane.
Oh,
All plane
definitely.
food shit.
I always get like a Burger King or whatever at the airport
Yeah,
before I
definitely.
get on the
Eat
plane.
before you get on there.
Yeah.
Then you're blocking the toilet up, aren't you?
Yeah.
Mid-flight.
You get more room in the toilet. I go and sit in there for half an hour,
Reclined.
Couple of hours.
feet up.
Never gonna see Ryanair fly to London Heathrow or Paris Charles de Gaulle because those airports are expensive. There's only a set amount of flights per day that can operate out of them, so supply and demand dictates that landing fees are high and slots are regulated. Instead, Ryanair flies to Gatwick, Stansted, or Luton in London, or Beauvais in Paris, which, by the way, is an 80-minute bus ride away from Paris, isn't technically in the same region of Paris, and has a website that looks like this. In a lot of cases, Ryanair or other budget airlines are the only or one of a few airlines flying out of an airport, which gives them huge negotiating power. Often they will take a small regional airport a ways away from a city and rebrand it as another city airport. They can ask for lower landing and takeoff prices, and if the airport doesn't comply, just leave, and the airport will essentially cease to exist. If there isn't a viable, cheap airport available around a city, budget airlines can also fly to regular airports at less busy times when landing fees and the chance of delay might be lower. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. The planes of budget airlines tend to operate all day, non-stop. For example, in one day, this Ryanair plane went from Brussels to Copenhagen, Copenhagen to Brussels, Brussels to Prague, Prague to Brussels, Brussels to Nîmes, Nîmes to Brussels, Brussels to Trevioso, then finally Trevioso to Brussels. Budget airlines will schedule only 30 to 45 minutes between the landing of one flight and the takeoff of another, which often leads to delays and leaves very little time to clean the aircraft. This does, however, mean that the airplane is always making money, and passengers are not paying for time it's sitting around. Ever wonder why Southwest doesn't have reserved seating? Well, by having a first-come, first-served system for seats, people almost always show up to the gate early and line up in an orderly line. This way, less time is spent on the ground boarding and more time in the air flying. Another principle of budget airlines is the point-to-point model. Most traditional airlines have hubs where most or all of their flights go in and out of. British Airways has London, Air France has Paris, KLM has Amsterdam. To get to most places on these airlines, you have to connect through their hubs. Budget airlines, on the other hand, try to have a lot of destinations from everywhere. That does mean, however, that many destinations are served only a few times per week. The cheapest budget airlines don't even allow for connections between their flights. Allowing connections adds cost because then you have to pay for ground crews to transfer bags, create a more complicated ticketing system, and pay to rebook a passenger if a delay in their first flight makes them miss their second. Speaking of ticketing, there's often no way to get a ticket from a real person on budget airlines. Ryanair charges £45 if you fail to print your ticket at home, and EasyJet and some other carriers have almost all their check-ins handled by machines. This, once again, cuts down on personnel costs. At the airport, these budget airlines won't bother using jetways because they're expensive. They'll use steps and just have passengers walk across the tarmac or take a bus to the plane.
I don't mind doing that.
It's pissing down on fucking red hot.
I've never done it when
true.
it's been pissing it down, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Always seems to have been good weather. So yeah, maybe I'd hate it.
I didn't realise they paid extra for the walkways and things. I thought they just, sort of
It's always part of it.
I thought it was just part of it. Yeah, it's like you go there, you go there.
Nothing's free, mate.
No, can you tell me about it? Yeah.
It's an exercise in business, isn't it? But as a
massively.
consumer, it's not great.
I look for destinations. If I'm going on holiday, I look for a destination that's run by a scheduled airline rather than go on a budget airline somewhere.
Yeah.
I probably would like if I went, but I just won't go because of that.
Yeah.
I'll choose somewhere else.
It boils down to price in the end, doesn't it?
Does.
Selling these tickets cheap, aren't they?
But I'd rather not go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But some people just want cheap, don't they?
Yeah.
Cheap as possible.
I think if you're going to
Get
be
what
on
you
it,
pay for.
if you're going to be on
Yeah,
it for 2
of course.
hours,
No,
you can
fuck that. I
you
don't
can
wanna
suck
do
it up.
No, you
But
can't. I can't.
Really,
Even the airport experience, everything about it.
I don't like
Shit.
airports anyway. They're all a pain in the arse.
See, I probably would because I barely fly. I don't fly a lot, but over the years you've flown a lot all around the world, haven't you? So
Yeah, if I never see another airport, it won't bother me.
You've probably been kind of accustomed to sort of like better quality planes,
Yeah.
haven't you? And you know stuff like that.
Better
so
service.
better service.
Turning left on the plane.
Budget airlines make a lot of money, if done right. EasyJet, Ryanair, and Wizz Air all have higher profit margins than Lufthansa, British Airways, and Air France. Many of the traditional airlines have unionized workers with salary agreements that cannot be changed, while budget airlines can hire anyone and train them in a few months. It's also hard for these traditional airlines to grow. Any route they make has to be one with a lot of pre-existing demand, since much of their business comes from business travelers. Since budget airlines are targeted more towards tourists, any destination that Ryanair, for example, opens up in will become a popular destination just because it's possible to get there for so cheap. Some traditional airlines in Europe are opening their own budget airlines to get in on this profit. Air France created Transavia and Lufthansa created Eurowings, both of which are losing massive amounts of money. What they seem to forget is that the US went through this budget airline within an airline phase a couple decades ago. Delta created Song, which failed. US Airways created Metrojet, which failed. United created Shuttle, which failed. Then they went into bankruptcy and decided that they should try again and make TED, which failed. None of these worked. The reason Ryanair and EasyJet are able to succeed where others have failed is largely because they are so large and flexible. They have hundreds of planes, hundreds of destinations, thousands of employees, and negotiating power that allows them to overpower competitors. In the end, for us consumers, any competition is good competition. Even failing budget airlines will bring down the cost of traditional airlines and allow us to travel the world for less. Thank you for watching.
It was interesting.
Was
though,
that?
wasn't it?
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Let's say what a business model they've got.
Yes.
Ryanair and EasyJet and
It's like Tesco, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've been criticised for their business tactics a lot because they'll go to producers or distributors and go, "This is what we're paying,"
Yeah.
and they go, "That's not the price," and they go,
See you then.
"You'll go out of business
the
if you don't
farmers
take
and
the
all
deal."
sorts, don't they? And
Yeah.
getting lower prices off them. Otherwise, right, we'll go somewhere else. But it's down to consumers in the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
People want low prices, don't they? And that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's funny that because I've flown Transavia and Eurowings.
Have you?
Oh
Yeah. So I didn't know Transavia was Air France. I thought it
No,
was.
I didn't.
I thought it was KLM. I thought it was part
Right,
Dutch.
okay.
I thought it was Dutch. But it was to away games.
Oh, right, okay.
When we play in Europe,
Yeah.
sometimes they're the only option you can get.
Oh, right, okay.
So
But they like any good?
I don't remember.
It was football, I suppose, right, to be fair. So, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it is down to cost at the end of the day. Because if you think last time I flew, it was down to Newquay, and although it was delayed by 5 hours and it was a pain in the arse, driving there can be worse.
Oh, yeah.
It can be
yeah,
better,
long.
but it can be
You hit traffic
worse.
and that's a long, long way to go, isn't it?
I'm driving down there tonight, and I'm
You
not
are,
expecting
yeah.
it to be a good one
Won't be
at
good.
all.
So on that Ryanair flight I went on, I asked for we were sat. There was 4 of us lads going on to the Formula One, and I asked for a vodka, right, or 2 vodkas.
Yeah.
So they come and you'd expecting like them little miniature bottles, aren't
Yeah.
you? No, it came
Free
in like
pour.
a fucking ketchup pack.
No,
Plastic
like
ketchup patch,
sachet.
yeah, sachet. And I opened it like I was like going, fuck it. I went, bam, like, and it just went,
Every-
and I went, fuck. I was fuming. I was going mental on the plane. I'm like, mate, come here, look. He's like, you know what he said to me? You opened it wrong.
Oh,
yeah, because I thought that's how you open it, you dickhead.
Oh, man. And you didn't get thrown
And
off
it was
the plane.
about, and it was about $4.99. Sachet of vodka. I've never seen one ever since.
I've not seen that before.
It's hard enough to do a sachet of ketchup and get it
Now
out.
it's spilling out, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad did one with a knife the other day when we were out eating.
Yeah, I
Pulled
think
out a penknife and was just like, oh, fuck it. He just couldn't get in
Imagine if
it.
you did that on a plane these days, though. All the stewards would be jumping on top of you.
Terry's. Yeah. Anyway, good that. It was interesting, that wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I hope you guys like that too. Don't forget, like and subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.